I got out of prison, and I can honestly say that first 18 months was straight negativity. I'm just be honest. That first 18 months, I was all over the place doing everything that I had to do to make money.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Reentry Podcast. And today we have a special guest. We had to do round two because it was so good. So I wanted to invite everybody to lock in with us on a regular because Reentry Podcast is about inspiring other individuals who may have been through incarceration at one point in time, or you may know somebody, but it's not even all about that. It's about hearing other people who have some life challenges and how they overcame whatever those life challenges were. And so today I have a good friend, a good guy who I'm telling you is going to inspire and empower your life to keep pressing forth. Yeah, I got my guy, Casey Moore. Actually, Casey Gregg Moore. So what's up, my guy? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. Everything's blessed, ready, and powered for the week. Really, just sitting here, contemplating my thoughts, ready to dive into it with you. How you been, man? What's going on?
Man, it's been great, man. Very productive day, very productive week. A lot of good stuff on the plate, man. So I'm just glad that we here in this space now, man. Gonna chop it up on some good stuff, man. So yeah, this I want to thank you again for last week, man. Your story, your journey is so empowering, man. I know that you have gone through what you've gone through, and now you're out doing what you're doing to really empower other people. It's a great inspiration to so many, myself included, to be able to see what you're doing and really touching the lives of others, man. So we're gonna definitely talk on some things. So just kind of give people who didn't get a chance to hear what we talked about last week. We talked about your journey and things like that. But if you can, before we get into the discussion today, just give a quick introduction about yourself, a little bit about your journey as well, for people at least to know who we're talking to.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, first of all, I am Casey Gregg, founder and president of More Visions Empowerment, which is a speakers company with a focus on social emotional learning, leadership development, a few reentry initiatives, as well as restorative practice circles, where we kind of create a safe space for guys to kind of uproot whatever trauma they may be dealing with or have dealt with in their past. I'm also a full-time student at Fayetteville State University, proud Bronco. Yeah, man, a little bit about me. I'm just a guy that got sentenced to prison, like a bunch of other young kids at the age of 17 as a junior in high school, was sentenced to 20 years. Been home out of the system now for almost 5 years. Yeah, and we just getting active, staying in the community, staying involved regardless of what's going on around me, keeping my head down until I can look up and understand that you don't use purpose driven. Everything that I do is purpose driven. So
Well, man, that's good, man. And so today, man, we want to kind of talk about through your life a little bit, man, and really talk about it from the standpoint of I know you have a relationship with your father. So many people don't even know their father, don't have a good relationship with their father. And I want to talk from your standpoint because I understand your father was present in somewhat. So I kind of want you to kind of and I'm gonna jump in and talk about mine too, talk about
for
life,
sure.
but also us as we both are fathers too. And so I want to talk from different angles from the standpoint of a man and just how influence how that played a part in our lives to encourage others. And so it's not always not a pretty picture. I can guarantee you you won't have your challenges there. But we want to just unpack that a little bit tonight. And so let's, if we can, man, just kind of share a little bit about, I know you said your story, you had your parents, they wasn't in the same state, but you sometimes stayed with both parents. And so during that time, when times when you were with your father, he was present, but not always present. So let's
Right.
just kind of unpack, a little bit about that portion younger in, and then we can kind of talk about the different stages. So if you can, just give it overall, this in younger years, how was your relationship with your father? And I want to share a little bit mine too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if me and my dad really have a real relationship because I went to jail at 17. I had a few juvenile experiences prior to that, but I do know my dad was always around. I can say that. I'm not saying that he wasn't present, but he just wasn't as active. But my dad was a regular 9 to 5 guy. I'm 39, so I even to this day for 39 years, I always seen my dad in a maintenance uniform. He still wear it today, still work at apartment complexes, doing whatever he can with his hands, right? So, but I say that to say that, even after he got off, he had to go scale his company. He had a business called Casey's Home Improvement. That's what he do. He's a builder. But I say that to say he was always working. I can't say that he was in all of our lives. It's 9 brothers and sisters. He was in all our lives. He just wasn't as active as I think he should have been from my own experience. Now that I'm a father, he was always jokey, always playing around. He never kind of like took things serious, in my humble opinion. But that's no ill will to him because I know a lot of guys that ain't even have a dad. You know what I mean? Don't have no memories of a dad or understand that their dad is in the same city with them, but don't have no memories of them actually doing things together. But so there's no shade to him. I just know now that I'm a dad, it's some things that I know he could have done better. But he was only limited to his own experiences. So that's why I kind of like give him grace. He didn't really have no rules and regulations for his boys. He kind of let us run wild. We didn't have curfews. He didn't demand us to kind of like go to school. He didn't put no emphasis on education because his mindset was he didn't graduate high school. He learned how to maneuver through life just working through his hands, picking up skill trades as he went on through life. So in his mind, academics wasn't priority. As long as you had a skill trade and you can get out here and apply yourself, you can build whatever fortune that you wanted to build. But understanding me now, sometimes that's not how that worked. I guess as a little kid, a young kid, I was still looking for that guidance or that structure or some type of discipline from my dad, and I don't think I got that. So I kind of ran to the streets and let the authorities handle me how they wanted to handle me. But I do know that if my dad would have been a little more serious about his discipline, his structure, or the vision he had for himself to actually build a company that he thought that he had with his boys, I think he would have been more clear with that. He would have been on to something. But he was young. My dad had 3 kids, 3 children. By the time he was 19, 20, he had already 3 children. So I also take that in consideration. When I was, 15 years old, stuff like that, my dad was only like 32 years old. So he was still young. He was a child raising children. He was still growing into his manhood. So I always look at my younger siblings and say, man, y'all got a better father than we had coming up because they don't get to see the growth and growing pains that he had to go through as just a father, just raising 7 to 8 kids at the time. So, but yeah.
Man, that's good to hear, man. And like I say, it's not trying to look at our fathers of something that they did wrong, but this was where they are. You know what I'm saying? My situation, man, my father early in my life was an alcoholic and on drugs pretty heavy. And so I didn't really have that discipline either. I mean, when I say discipline, he did discipline. I would say that much. But it was but it wasn't a healthy balance. So I could truly say he wasn't there at the times he probably should have been there in the school and things like that. But he didn't spare the world. I tell you that much. But in the same sense, it's looking at it fast forward now. I'm glad in certain senses that I didn't have it as easy as some people I see who did have everything. I would say it was given to them. And I'm not knocking to say that it's bad to have a parents that who can, be there and give you everything you want. But I look at it as you could say what you did not have and allow that to be your excuse of why you don't do what you need to do. You can look at it and say, I did not have, and that's the reason why I gotta do what I gotta do to make myself better and do it for those who I care for. Like you say, now you have a son. And
Right.
so the experience that you had then, you say you want something different for your son. So in your life now, let's kind of fast forward on what was it that you see that you did not have and you use it to your advantage now. They're saying this is what I must do because I did not receive. What are you doing now? How does that play a part in your life?
Yeah, see, I think it's a few things that I can remember, but the first thing that come to my mind is I didn't have a sense of direction. You understand me?
Mhm.
Not only did not have discipline or structure, I just didn't have a sense of direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do at certain times because if I did, I think I would have aligned myself with that and took myself out of environments. In my mind, it's all about helping the child, especially a little boy, not to take away from our little girls. It's about helping him find his foundation, his voice, and understanding that he has purpose out here too, regardless how young he is. Whatever he can see, he can do. I think that if I would have had some type of sense of direction by the time I was 15, 16, 17, maybe I would have made better decisions. So in my mind now, I use that as, even though my son is 3, I still overly communicate. I don't gaga Google my son. I kind of overly communicate when he's around me. Make sure he got certain disciplines and certain structure, regardless of he crying or anything. I'm understanding to his emotions. I don't want to take away his voice. However, I must help him understand that just because he's in his feelings or his emotion doesn't mean that he still don't have to get up and do what he got to do in life. You know what I mean? Things are going to happen. Your feelings are going to get hurt, but you still have to be able to have that mindset to actually get up and handle your business in a way where it's going to be beneficial for you in your future. So, as he get older, I just continue to make sure I openly communicate with him, but I also make sure he's in the same spaces that I'm in, especially when time or the schedule allows it. I make sure he pops up at anything that I'm doing in the community as far as keynote speaking or facilitating a workshop. It's always a joy to see my son running around the room, or to see my son navigate his way to a stage or to a panel discussion where I'm at, and him to sit on my lap, because we have to be examples for our children. Seeing is believing. You have to be the change you want to see. So I'm always keeping that at the forefront of my mind when I'm out here maneuvering. I have to be the change I want to see, not only for me, but for my son. Because I believe in this quote. I think it says, I may be paraphrasing a little bit, but it says, a man who dies and does not prepare his child for his death, his life was basically in vain. So in my mind, I have to prepare my child for my absence, because it's gonna come a time where I'm not gonna be here. He's not gonna be able to pick up the phone and call me, text me, or just stop by the house as he get older just to get my guidance. So in my mind, I have to do what's necessary with the time that I got with him to make sure he's prepared as he get older, or when I'm not around, he can still stand on his own two feet, making sure. So basically, what I'm saying is just making sure he got his foundation secured to the ground. That way he can pivot and make whatever move he need to make, and his foundation still set.
Yeah. Man, I love when I'm hearing you talking with your son, man. You take enough time to communicate back and forth, have a dialogue with him, even at his age. Sometimes we as parents may get in the thing where we're talking to our children, but are we really listening to our kids and really talking to them on the level they're at? And so I'm guilty. I can say by the time I got my third child, I was better. But for a while, what I'm saying, I was like, wow, being having that empathy, having that slow enough to make sure they understand what we're saying, at least hear them. And so treating them like a whole person
Right.
versus saying, and that's so important. So I do admire how you do that, even with your son. And then also, as you're saying, is being the example, not through your words, but just through your action, and they can
Right.
model your how you move. That's important. That it'll play out later on. Cause even now, listening to see how I do certain things, and it's like, oh man, I seen that with my dad,
Yeah.
and so it does play out later. This how you move. One thing my dad used to say was, give everybody 30 seconds, no matter who they are, but it depends on how they spend it, whether if you're gonna give them more.
Right.
So, because you got to treat your time wisely. You can't let everybody waste your time, but you want to be respectful to that individual to hear what they have to say. And then, you make those decisions which way you should go with that conversation from that point. And so
Right.
that's still a value even now.
Right. Especially with your children, your children. You have to give your child the space, the time to voice themselves. You know what I mean? Because they are humans. They are little humans, regardless of, because a lot of times parents, just because we parents, we try to shut off their emotion. We talking to them, we talking at them instead of pouring into them. They break down in their emotions. They get to crying. Then you know where we come from. Shut up while I give you something to cry about. Or I don't want to hear that when they just trying to express their emotions. What they saying may be wrong because they don't have the discernment about certain things. So what they saying sometimes may be wrong, and we be like, I don't want to hear that, you're wrong. Instead of just allowing the child to say what they need to say so they can get that emotion out, and then help guide them through the understanding that they're looking for. Because most of the time when people are upset or emotions involved, it's just a misunderstanding somewhere. As soon as you help them understand their emotions, the situation that they're in, work them through it, Most of the time, it's gonna be all love and smiles. And I say that because my voice was taken away from me as a kid. They used to like, man, Casey, you quiet. It wasn't that I was quiet. I now realize that my mom's or my dad or the adults that was around me when I was younger and I was just trying to express myself, whether it was crying, whether it was however it was, they snatched my voice by silencing me, punishing me because I cried, punishing me because whatever I was doing emotionally, it made me say, well, I can't respond this way, so I'm not going to say nothing at all. In return, it kind of took my voice. So as I got older, people started saying, man, he quiet. He could people, but he quiet. But nobody never realized why I never had a voice. I always wanted to speak. I always wanted to say certain things, but I realized my fear was was embedded in me as a child, and I took that into my adult years until I had to actually grow out of that. So I'm kind of keen on letting my child express himself, even if he wrong, even if he crying, even if he yelling, even if he doing certain things like that. I let him get it out. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. It's okay to cry. But that doesn't make you right in the decision that you made. I mean, I understand your feelings, your emotions are valid, but sometimes the decision that you make or the decision that you made is not right. You have a right to hurt. You have a right to be frustrated, or you have a right to feel whatever emotion you feeling now. But my job is to help him compartmentalize it or regulate it so he can have some control and redirect that energy in a way where he can kind of grow from that situation.
Yeah, man, you saying some good stuff, man. Something that I stand on a lot, man, and you hit it right on the head. A lot of us as men, we don't know our voice, and through our voice is power.
Yes.
Man, when a man realize the power of their voice, their roar,
Yeah.
like such as that, then they can truly take control of themselves, their life, but also their situation. So, man, I know we both speak on that quite often, man, knowing the power of your voice. And so,
Right.
man, I like what you're saying about, even training up your son and understanding now to how to learn his voice. But even us as men, some of us like, may be much older, but still don't know our voice. And
Right.
we've been taught, be quiet and be seen without being heard. And it kind of shushed us not to really know the power of our voice. Even sometimes
Right.
we may feel like I'm unlearned, but you still have power in your voice. And so let's speak on that for a minute, man. Give me a little bit about how you normally share with other men of really encouraging them to know and lean into their voice and being okay, even if they're not there yet. Some of them may say, man, stutter, whatever the excuse is, it's still an
Yeah.
excuse, but they do have a voice.
Yeah. A lot of times I realize that most people just don't want to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? They understand if they start speaking, using their voice and start speaking about the things that really bothers them when nobody's around. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? A lot of times that take a level of vulnerability because let's be honest, as a man, this world is not geared towards us actually speaking our emotions and telling the world that I'm hurt, I'm crying, I'm
Mhm.
going through something, I'm financially drained, I'm mentally drained, I'm spiritually drained, I'm emotionally drained, and I'm feeling this type of way, right? We was always taught as a man, don't complain, don't talk about it. If you're gonna cry, go in the room and cry about it, but get up and go handle your business because you still have yourself and the family on your back that's looking for your security and your guidance. But in return, that's almost asking a human being to be a robot. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I learned just expressing myself and being comfortable with who I am, regardless if the individuals looking at me see it as a flaw. And it might be a weakness or a flaw, but I'm still going to express it so I can go do something about it. Whether I got to work on that weakness, whether I got to work on this emotion, whether I got to work on something that's going to make me a better man tomorrow, is so important to voice your needs, your wants, the things that you're going through. And then you'll start realizing there's so many other men going through these same things, but your voice is the one that was spoken and kind of brought that light to someone else to make them want to share about some of the things that they're going through. You know understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you gotta express yourself. You gotta use your voice, man. You gotta have that voice because it's all about self advocacy. You gotta advocate for yourself, your needs, your
Yeah.
wants, and things like that.
Man, I take of the same as God gave us voice. He gave us words. Words of power. And think life through your words. I mean, it builds. And so when God created the world, he created through his words, right? And
Right.
so when we use that, same as life and death is in the tongue, right? And so when we
Right.
speak, we should always understand, hey, I can control my situation based on how I perceive it, and then how I speak to that situation would change my situation and build something. And so knowing that we have power in our tongue and our voice to, I know a lot of us, some kind of which way we have been, don't speak as much, but we have to build on that. Regardless of where we feel we're at now, doesn't mean that's always where we're going to be, but we have to start speaking towards where we want to be versus where we are. And that's in the power of our voice. And so I want to always encourage men, hey, speak up, speak out. Don't just turn the ear to what you don't see, what you don't like. Like you say, be the change you want to see.
Right.
So when you don't see things in your situation where you want it to be, you have to speak up and take a stance on it. And I think Martin Luther King always say, if you don't stand for something, then you fall for anything. But at the same time, you're the part of the problem if you don't stand for something. And
Right.
so so I'm looking at it even now, because I want to transition back into the times you were in prison. And when you took a stance or you made some moves, even though I'm not saying you have to go there and police, meaning that you telling people they wrong, but sometimes taking a stance and try to figure out how can I be a solution to a situation is also using your voice in a positive way. So let's talk about that. So we were talked about it last week a little bit, but let's talk about how you use your voice and use your position to be able to empower your situation. So let's talk about unpack how that came about in your life when you use your voice to help others.
I think it was when I started actually really using my voice in prison. Had to be like 28, probably 11 years in. And what I realized was the younger the guys came, the older or the more tenured or seasoned I became back there, the younger guys that was coming in used to always tell me when they found out how long I was locked up. They used to always say, "Man, bro, it don't seem like you've been locked up that long." I don't know if because the way I was moving, the way I looked. I don't know because my mindset still was intact at that time. But I started realizing that I had more influence than I thought. And then I started running with that. So when the little brothers, whether they was gang affiliated or not, when they would be doing something in the wrong, even to the point where they were sagging their pants, they know when I come around, they doing 25 push-ups because I make them, I hold them accountable. Like, hey, bro, man, you sagging your pants, man. I need them 20. I was friendly, just establish that relationship, pour into them until it became like a big brother, little brother dynamic. Really, it was a mentor-mentee dynamic. So certain things that they would do inside of the dorm, I was able to get amongst them and say, hey, bro, that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and let me get that 25 push-ups or make sure they get whatever they doing that might be wrong. I was able to go amongst them and kind of pour into them and help them make that situation right. So I just started understanding my position, understanding my voice, understanding that I had influence, if you will, amongst certain people back there. So I started going. They used to call me the what they used to say the black public service announcer because my voice carried, and I used to be the one on the route. And I yell. When I yell, everybody kind of like used to get quiet, but I used to always put out information about certain things, what we were going to be educating about in this bottom day room, some of the activities that we was going to have going on in the dorm. And this wasn't being done by no reentry programs or no programs that was being initiated from the prison. This was actually programs and things that we as individual, select few individual was just doing in the dorm just to make sure brothers was developed in themselves in the way that they were supposed to with the time that they had before they actually got home. We were striving to raise better brothers, better fathers, better sons, better uncles, and so on and so forth. So we kind of took that thing serious. So, and of course, it was a team effort. It wasn't just me; it was a team effort. But just understanding my position, who I was, where I was going, and at that time, my purpose had them tapped in by then. I knew what I was called to do. I knew I was called to serve and pour and impact others with my voice, my story, and some of the things that I've been through. So yeah.
Man, that's so man, that's right on, man. That's spot on, man. So I love the fact that some of us are saying we need certain things, then I'll make a move. You was incarcerated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
all the excuses out the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You didn't have everything you wanted, but you had everything you needed in order to get the job done. And so we have to start making excuses on making that step. And when you are making those steps and you moving in that direction, man, you'll be tracked the right people. You
Yes.
will find the right resources. Everything will align with you in its right timing. But you have to get off the sideline and get into the game and trust what you're doing is going to fall in place. Even if everybody don't align with it, you may have some kickback. I'm pretty sure you got some kickback.
For sure.
But
Definitely.
yeah, and but
Definitely.
in the same time, but you kept on going until they saw you true to what you was doing.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
on one particular time we was getting some pushback because, certain gang members, it is what it is. Certain gang members, they rob you. You got certain individuals gonna get the knife and they gonna
Mhm.
rob you for whatever you got, whether it's your phone or your hot pot, your radio, whatever it is that and it can bring monetary value. Them guys coming in there with two, three people, two, three knives, ready to stab a brother just for a couple honey buns and a few bags of chips. But I remember a couple times where as though certain head figures of these organization used to feel some type of way because they felt like I was stopping their little homies from eating. You understand what I'm saying? So you get to prison and nobody's sending you no money to make sure your commissary is good. You gonna resort to the survival mindset, and the survival mindset is to oppress. Go take from someone that's not as strong or might be a little weak or don't have the numbers and take their possession and use it for their own. But when we came along, we was trying to, not in an aggressive way. We was putting a halt to all that, a lot of that stuff. And let's be honest, a lot of people didn't like that. They did not like the fact that they even said, you stopping my hustle or this the way I eat, bruh. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, y'all got to find another way to eat. We not robbing. We not oppressing. This is not what we doing. If we doing that, let me go holler at your big homie. Let's see what he got to say with it. And that's why I kind of used to keep the big homies accountable according to their bylaws and their codes of conducts on how they supposed to be moving within them amongst themselves. So it's a couple of times I got some pushback though.
That's good, man. That's good. And so, like we said, you use reason. You didn't use force with force.
No, no.
Yeah, yeah. And you didn't play down to their level, as meaning that you didn't go down. What I'm saying, play that same game, but you use wisdom. You had knowledge about how they operate, and
Yeah,
you just put it back at them, right?
yeah. That's basically what I was doing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And so that is key, man. So like I say, my thing with anything, whatever you're looking to do, educate yourself about it. Like I say, even in the lane right now, I'm on this podcasting. I just came back from a podcast summit. Why? Because I want to become better in this space. I'm just not
Right,
here. Of course, you're gonna get out there and start doing and learning and have failures and make mistakes, but don't
right,
always stay on the first level. Be willing to do what you need to do in order to become better in this space. If you want to take it to that next level and want to become great at it, it's going to take you making some sacrifices in order to get to that place. But don't feel like you can't be bad before you get good. Even when I got into this space, my mentor told me, hey, go live every day for 90 days and just push record and do it. And you're going to be bad before you get good, but you got to keep doing it. And so a lot of
right,
times we as people, like I shared with, use your voice, you just got to keep doing it. You can't go out there and I don't advise you go talk about something you don't know about, but talk about what you do know and
right,
share it in the standpoint. If you say, well, man, I can't say 5 words without cussing, that's cool. Guess what? You start thinking and talking about something that you have a heart for. If you might like sports and you might can talk about, hey, whatever that is, you might be willing to want to coach. And that's something I did in my 20s. I used to go to, I had the kids in my neighborhood play against the kids in another neighborhood, and we played it on Saturday. And then from there, guess what? I cook out, grilled out with the kids. I was still in the streets. But guess what? That was one of my ways of getting in the trenches and start working with these young guys. And I
right,
learned and grew over time, and it opened up more and more opportunities. But I started there using my voice to these young guys. And now they're in their 30s and stuff like that. And I still see them time to time. And they definitely appreciate that. But you have to start small and then keep growing yourself. But don't be afraid to use that voice and that heart of something, even on a small level, even though it may seem crazy. Step out into it, man. And so I
right.
love the fact what you're saying. You stepped out in there, man. And it just kept on flourishing. Now, I'm pretty sure some of the same things you did then maybe still going on now that you've been gone. But
Yeah,
you planted a seed, right?
for sure. Definitely. Got to start
Yeah.
with the seed. Got to plant that
Mhm.
seed.
Yeah. And so the key is seed, time, then harvest. So many times we want harvest, but we gotta realize what you got right now only be the seed. And so you can't cash in on that seed right now. You gotta sow it.
Right. You
You
got to
gotta
start.
sow it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so my thing of it is now even moving to where you are now with your program, of course, it's not in your harvest season yet, but you
Right.
plant seed,
Right. For
right?
sure. Plant the
You
seed.
seed and
Yeah.
you
It
seed, and
starts
so
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so if you can, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about what the seed look like that you're planting. it's looked like that you have been able to do? And like I say, it may not be yet to start coming out the ground. It might be like I'll say the Chinese bamboo tree. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that story, where they put the seed in the ground. Farmer was watering for many years, 4 or 5 years before, in that fifth year, in the next 90 days, that tree grew to 60 feet tall. But it took 5 years before it even started coming to a budding. And so sometimes it may take a long time of planting, sowing, watering, and it's taking care of it, fertilizing, making sure that thing is good before you actually see results from any of that what you're working on. But you have to commit to the process.
Right.
And if you do that, man, hey, over time, you'll be surprised at how it grows. So let me just hear of some of the things that you have had to do since you got now that actually now you can say, man, I may not even see the work of it yet, but that may be still in my sowing season of what I'm doing.
Man, I first of all, I had to submit to my purpose. I
Mm.
had to submit to my purpose because I got out of prison. And I can honestly say that first 18 months was straight negativity. I'm just be honest. That first 18 months, I was all over the place doing everything that I had to do to make money. And yeah, I gained a lot of material possessions, but I lost it just as fast. But I think I had to go through a phase where I had enough. Enough was enough. My son was about to be born. I started kind of like guilt tripping because I had already understood certain things that I wasn't supposed to be doing, but yet here I was again, putting my life, my freedom in line at 6 months to a year after I've been out. So I had to submit to my purpose. And once I submitted to my purpose, I'm not gonna say everything got easy. Nah, things got 7 to 10 times harder. However, doors opened up for me to actually go a little deeper with my seed. You understand what I'm saying? Because the seed was already within. You understand what I'm saying? I just didn't have fertile land or fertile soil to plant that seed in it. But as soon as I submitted to my purpose, doors started opening and they kind of helped me kind of like plant that seed a little bit deeper inside the soil for it can actually take root and grow into the place it needed to be. And that was number one. But the another thing that we were just speaking about the program curriculum, right? I just launched the empowerment curriculum, Thriving After Adversity, right? And these things that we are working on now, it's not meant to be perfect. You understand what I'm saying? It's meant to be manifested, even in its ugly mess. Because you already know anything that you're starting out, it's gonna look like a mess. You understand what I'm saying? Think about, like, I think I got this from you. Think about when they building a house. You got a saw over there, a hammer over there, a 2x4 over there, a nail over there. You got sheetrock over there. But when they finish with the product, you got a nice, beautiful home. So right now, I'm just laying down a foundation. That's why I introduced it to the curriculum, because I wanted to be the one to highlight the lived experiences coming from where I come from, and using that experience, that lived experience, as the expert in the subject matter of justice impacted individuals. I wanted to let them know that, hey, you have a voice, you have a stable mind. All you have to do is actually get outside of your head and implement the things that you see in your mind into reality and give it time to grow. Submit to the process. It's going to get harder before it get easier. But you have no, regardless of what's going on now, I'm at the phase right now where I'm thriving through adversity, not after, because every new level is a new devil. So I'm in that phase now where I'm striving to make sure I'm thriving through the adversity, because adversities happens when you least expect it. It might not be your sick. It might not be job security. It could be anything, but you're still gonna have to maintain your purpose, your sense of direction, and the things that you need to get done while you're here, to make sure that that house is being built in a way for it to stand on the foundation. So, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to give something back to the community. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna grow. But right now we just working it through. It's a 12-week program. And I think my favorite models is the art of storytelling through lived experience and leadership, and the restorative practice circles, because when you actually sitting down creating a safe space with individuals and creating boundaries for each other so we won't cross them, and actually making sure we understand what we're doing, you can actually start uprooting some of the things that's actually bothering us to our core, whether it's spiritually, psychologically, or anything. So Yeah, those are the most two things that I like doing because it's heartfelt. It's actually that what I call it's heart work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Man, that's good, bro. That's good, bro. So I'm just thinking on it, man. I want you to kind of share these individuals that you have had the chance to pour into since implementing your program. I know you work with a lot of college students and other youth and things like that. So what's some of the outcomes or successes that are starting to foster come from the work you're doing?
We don't do it we never do this for the accolades, right? My mission wasn't to say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this so I can get the claps, the cheerleading, right? But the success is the impact. Understanding that I got real impact, like the awards I done received over the past 18 months. Student Mentor of the Year, Boss Man of the Year, Hustler of the Year, Designated Student Service of the Year. All these rewards, Roots, the Executive Team Mentor of the Year. All these rewards that I received, I didn't give them myself. This was a vote that was done by my peers in multiple organizations. So to realize the impact that I really have, that's humbling. That's the where I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, regardless if I'm struggling financially, regardless if I'm struggling in any way. I'm still being a servant leader even through my adversity because my peers tell me so. So that be my success. I'm going into my junior year at Fayetteville State University. I'm working on my bachelor's. That's my success. I get to see my son every single day. That's my success. I get to wake up every single day, put my head down to work on my tomorrow. That's my success. You got to fall in love with the process. So the more I learn how to accept where I am in this moment and continue building, the more I realize I'm more appreciative for the opportunity. I'm way more successful than anything money can bring me in this moment because even though we all want the money, yes, I want the money, but I love the impact. I love the fact that I'm in a position where I can help not only change my life, but change the life and trajectory of someone else coming up after me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, man. I love the fact that being a creator, man, things can come to you and you act out on it, man. Prime example. I woke up this morning because I'm ready to start, and I'm gonna definitely put you in on it. I'm
Yeah.
ready to start speaking at another transitional house. And one of the pastors, he tried to give me like, man, you come in here like I was like big, you can come in here every weekend. I was like, man, let me pray on, let me see how I want to come at it. And I think I want to start leaning on Thursday to come in. So I know this weekend coming up. I woke up already with like, okay, next Saturday we're gonna do a grill and chill with the guy. I told you before I'm telling the pastor. So I'm hitting on tomorrow. Actually, as soon as I get off here, I need to text him. But I want to see if that's even possible. But so I'm saying that because we as creators come up with things like bam. But the great thing is we move on it. We move on it. And right now you don't know where the resources are gonna come, but you know it's gonna happen.
Right.
That's the beauty of stepping out on faith.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that, and it happened greater than I can ever imagine because you move and God tell you move. He doesn't call to qualify; he call you because he feel that hey, I can get you to do it. Not somebody who so have to have a degree and all these different accolades or whatever the other. But he said, hey, I call you because I know your heart, and I know if I ask you to do it, I tell you to give you that instruction, you're gonna follow through with that. So I ask you, man, what's something now that's brewing in the kitchen, but you about to step out and see it to pass? Because I want to always say, and I hear my mentor say, he always asks these people, what's the thing you're gonna be? Where you see yourself in 5 years? I'm not even gonna ask you that far, but what do you see that's in your heart right now that you know is about to happen? What's one thing?
Oh man. It's so much, but I really, well, first of all, I'm gonna talk about school. I'm going, like I said, we start school next week, right? I'm realizing that I gotta reinvent myself every semester, right? You gotta reinvent yourself every semester because I never want to get comfortable and complacent because I'm on assignment. And when you're on assignment, you gotta figure out a way to reinvent, recreate some of the things that you already did to give it that umph. But man, I know I'm walking into abundance. The work in my mind, I cannot be denied because the seed that I sow will make way for my growth, will make way for my financial problems that I might be suffering through now because of the seeds that I plant. So I think I'm growing into my becoming. You understand what I'm saying? The podcast going on. I kind of sat the podcast down for a little second because I was in my mind. I was saying that I needed a co-host to get me where I needed, but really that wasn't nothing but my nerves getting to me, thinking I need another voice up there instead of just turning on the camera. I think that's gonna be one of my greatest things that I do this upcoming semester because we have a full studio podcast that's available for us to actually create from. Also think that my book, I be working on it here and there, but I need to do a little bit more. But I'm still focusing on finishing this book before the semester over with. I got 4.5 months to complete this memoir, 100-page book, 10 chapters. So these are the things that I know I'm walking into that's gonna eventually bring about a greater impact. You understand what I'm saying? So I realize now everything that I do is like geared towards impact. You know what I mean? I'm gonna grow into things that's for me, but the things that's for me is going to help benefit and impact everybody else because I'm selfless. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm in position to make sure me and mine's good and I can impact at a high level. I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? I'm good with that. So yeah.
Man, well, we're gonna definitely tap back in on that, man. See where you at in that journey of where you're striving towards, but I know hands down you're gonna get that done. And
Yeah.
so, man, that's key, man. And I share that because this is what we all should have something we're moving towards. Because being stagnant and waiting on something to happen will be the sure enough depth of what we want to happen. So even for me, when I stepped into the place of doing the podcast, of course, I wanted my wife to do one because you give her the mic, she gonna run with it. My other partner, I was like, yo, I could be the behind the scenes, all this, but God touched me like I ain't actually do all that. I said
Yeah.
podcast. I ain't say
Yeah.
go find somebody.
Yeah.
But and so of course, we always under think of who we are and not realize we have something of value, regardless if no one else is there to work with you. God will then create and put the right people around you once you make that step out there. And so that's so important that you're saying that. So definitely I'm proud for you that you be stepping into doing your podcast. Do you know what your podcast name and what it's going to be about?
Culturally expressed beyond the bars. Um,
Mm,
in this culture that we live in, this society that we live in, I always speak numbers when it comes to mass incarceration, systemic mass incarceration. I have to say that because 1 out of every 3 black boys end up with a conviction on their record from the age of 13 to 25. Our youth end up with an arrest on their record. The recidivism rate is through the moon. So me just going through that, it's I have to actually be the voice that came from that situation just to let everybody know like you can thrive after that. And also I realized and I got beyond the bars and I realized that a lot of us is still in prison in our minds. It's not even a physical restraint. Sometimes it's a mental restraint, a financial restraint, a spiritual restraint. And that right there, we stay incarcerated in that and we can never grow and get to our true self. So I chose the name Culturally Express Beyond the Bars, where we're going to have dynamic students, different people coming in and out to tell their story, their lived experience, to kind of like connect with the audience. So let them know that regardless of whom or what, express yourself, you know what I mean? And let people know what's going on and how they can get through what they're going through. So you definitely look forward to that.
Man, that's good, bro. I'm proud for you on that, bro. You hit something, man. I ain't think about because I never experienced it. So sometimes, like I think we talked about one time, when you've gone through prison, it's no doubt you had trauma. You have gone through something that's trauma. You still dealing with PDA, different things
PDHD.
you have. Yeah, you have to deal through that. And so my thing is, what is it? Is it anything that you can say that you have gone through and
Oh,
maybe even still deal with
yeah.
that if you can, if you don't mind, let's talk about that.
Feeling excluded, feeling misunderstood. It's always with me. My lady friend was telling me, I always compare and contrast and be like, man, I'm 20 years from behind. Me just not fully trusting everybody. I understand, like, man, me sitting in prison for 17 years and 7 months and not feeling genuine, authentic love for year in and year out. I realized now that I'm out here and the people that came around me that was willing to give me genuine love, I literally had to release some things in order to let them in because I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to somebody genuinely loving me without agenda. So that was some of the things that I had to do. I did my trust. What I did not trust nobody, and still working through that. I'm always working through some traumatic situation that I faced back there and realizing that these are restraints. I'm no longer in prison. I need to release these restraints so in order for me to grow. So and also me just understanding how to align myself as a man when it comes to the necessities that we need. Like I didn't understand how to go about getting food stamps. I didn't understand how to go about getting Medicaid. I didn't understand how to go about actually seeking the resources that was needed for me to actually feel like I was a part of this community or this society. Instead, I kind of like kept my mouth closed. And yes, I had people around me saying, do this, do that, do that. But that sounded like Chinese when you never had to do it. You know, I had people saying, "Won't you do this?" But in my mind, as soon as I tried to do it and I ran into a small encounter, I stopped because I never had to get through this. But I think a lot of people look at me since I was older and I got college going on, I'm speaking, I'm facilitating. They still feel like I'm supposed to know something that I never had to do ever in my life. And that right there was one of my biggest problems trying to get through that. Like, man, I'm tired of being judged. I'm tired of being, because once you're going through your stuff and people know you're going through it, people can say what they want. They're going to judge you. So I'm starting to realize, man, I got to let people judge. As long as I know I'm waking up to be better, to fix what I don't know, I'm good with that. You can let them laugh, judge, do all that. But those are just some of the things that I was dealing with. Understanding technology was another one. Oh my God.
I was gonna
Technology.
ask.
Yeah,
I was
technology.
gonna ask. Yeah.
Yeah, technology changed so much in 17 and a half years and getting out here, understanding how to write a proper email subject line and understanding how to copy and paste, understanding now that I'm in school how to actually create a balance between school life, home life, and work life, understanding that how to write a paper, APA style, just everything, man. I'm learning so much on the fly. Like I think I wake up every day for the past 4 years, if not every day, every other day, and learn something or realize I didn't know something when it comes to life. Like, oh my God, man, I did not know that. You know what I mean? It's so simple. But that's where brothers that's coming home, especially during a long time, it's imperative that they put themselves around patient, loving people because if they don't, man, they'll never be able to kind of grow in the way that they need to around people that don't understand them and their experiences because
Mhm.
they ain't never been through it. They don't know nobody that been through it, so they can't connect. So they gonna always look at you like, man, you tripping. But whole time you done been. It's like going to the war. You can't send a man to the war for 20 years and bring him back and don't think he's suffering from things or don't think that he need help adjusting to a normal civilian society. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I got therapy, so I'm fine. I just keep my mindset I just keep my mindset open to learn. I ask the necessary questions, whether regardless of because people get aggravated with me because I'm the who, when, where, what, how type of guy, and people really feel like that you challenging them when you asking them this. But I have to see it. I have to know what's going on so I can have a better understanding before I get there. And for guys like us, they just got to make sure they're around people that understand them, that's patient, and got the bandwidth mentally to kind of help you through your situation. So yeah, man.
Mhm.
You know,
Man,
this
man,
society
that's
is this society is cold, man. Especially for somebody
yeah,
come from a prison
yeah.
sentence like I did, man. People really don't
Hmm.
understand the effect that thing have on you, especially when you chose to get up and do what I'm doing. When you choose to get
Hmm.
up and get on your purpose and stay on your assignment, they gonna look at you like you don't need help. Oh, you good all of a sudden. Like, no, man, I still gotta go and grow too. I gotta go through what I'm going through in order to grow and get the way I'm going too, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Man, that is so good, man. You hit on all different. You took my next question, but that was on point though, because you really hit on it, man. I was like, man, 'cause one of my scares, and I feel it hard. When every time I go into the prison, I'll be like, bro, life is so fast. When a lot of, especially you did long bids, life is a lot faster than you left it. And this technology, you know what I'm saying, is I can imagine people who may have left before we have electric windows. You know what I'm saying? You had the
Yeah,
roll up windows, now they coming out a total different world. You got the doors that open up. It's like what the world?
yes,
It's a shock to come out to something that you never seen before. It's like you come into a new world.
man.
And so knowing this, you go to McDonald's. I have to see now. They going to McDonald's. They sit in front of the screen, like you got to push your order in. They like, yo, no clue.
Bruh,
And so
I went to Walmart. I never forget the first time I got out, right? When you first get out, you got a loving family. They're going to be with you. They want to be everywhere you go, talking your head off, your nieces and nephews. But I remember me wanting to get away from everybody for the first time by myself, which was probably the next day or the next 2 days after I got out. I was like, Mom, I'm finna go to the store. I want some Cheerios. She was like, all right. I said, let me drive the car. She said, you sure, boy? You ain't drove the car in almost 18 years. I was like, yeah, but I ain't gonna forget how to drive. I got it. So I don't get in the car. I get all the way to Walmart and I go to the cereal aisle. Man, when I got to that cereal aisle, I was so overwhelmed because I'm going to look for Honey Nut Cheerios. Don't do you? I did not realize how many different flavors Cheerios had all the different cereals. When I left, we didn't have these types of options. So in my mind, I'm sitting there getting overwhelmed. So I just grabbed the Cheerio. But when I got to this self checkout, now I'm watching people check out, right? I never done this before. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna watch and see what they do, and I'm gonna follow suit. So I get up there to the self checkout. I got the scan part. Boom, scanned it, put it in my bag. I'm trying to figure out how to pay for it now. You talking about the most humiliating, embarrassing thing I went through probably this far was not understanding how to do self-checkout. I literally had to say, you know what? After about 3 to 4 minutes, I had to say, you know what? Excuse me, can you come over here and help me real quick? When that woman said, what do you need help with? And for me having to say, I don't know how to pay for this. That woman looked at me like, you gotta stop playing. Like I'm sorry, but I just did almost 18 years in prison. I don't know nothing about this self checkout, but immediately she understood because, unfortunately, but it's common in our community. She already had a dad that was doing time in prison. And so she kind of helped me get through it and told me it's okay. You are right. Anytime you know what I mean? Like if I'm here and I can help, just let me know. But I didn't even know how to scan out the self checkout, man. I had been gone for so long. When I was looking, I never seen a self checkout. And that I just remember that just not knowing, like it was like so embarrassing, like I was like, oh man, this I ain't go. I said I ain't. I told mama, so I ain't going back to Walmart by myself. Not right now. Somebody got to come with me.
yes, sir. I'll tell you, it's so many, but it's so true, man. You just hit on something. I'm gonna get on that too. But man, it's so much that we take for granted for those who are out, that others who may have been locked down, man, they just don't know this life. And like you say, sometimes having people around you that are patient enough to walk you through these things. And so it's so much that I want to encourage guys every time I go in, man. Hey, make sure that you prepare yourself, but also put yourself in that position where you don't discredit other options for you, meaning transitional housing, all these different, take serious looks at what options you have. Just don't run back to what you came from, because where you came from may lead you back to where you are.
For
And
sure.
so, yeah, so that's another conversation. But something you just hit on was, oh man, I think I lost my train on that one. But you hit on something just a second ago. I'm trying to think if I can think of it. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But I do want to make sure we could talk about, on an ongoing basis, man, about some of these other pieces that moving in this direction of what's next for guys. And so I'm not going to dig down that path now, but you hit on a couple of things. I said I'm gonna have to watch back on this one, because we're gonna have those deeper conversations on the future on some of these other pieces that you just hit on. So, but with that today, man, I wanted to just kind of to see what it is that you would like to make sure that individuals who find themselves, like what you said, coming out, because I do share this too. I shared this with the guys a couple weeks ago. You have the level of dependency, then you move into a season of independence, and then you eventually get into interdependence. But we have to be real about it. We are in the season of dependency. And so knowing that you're in a season of dependency, you don't rush to get into the place of independence where you are making mistakes to get there. Make sense? And so I share on that because knowing that you're gonna come out, you're gonna need assistance and help from family members and other people around you to help you to maneuver. But embrace that season in
Right.
order for you to then transition into your independence. So I don't know what did you have to do, any others, but I want to speak to that for a quick second about moving from dependency and embracing that level. Because of course, like I said, when you come out, man, it's so much you have to learn to get acclimated and get moved into knowing who you are. So what would you say to someone who is in independence that that's a I look at it, it's the benefits of the being in that space, but at the same time, I know you're trying to get out of that space, but don't rush to get to that next season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would tell brothers, give yourself grace. Be patient. Trust the process because I realize, including me, I did the same thing. Most brothers that get out, especially if they're after a long bid, we hit the ground running. We hit the ground running in one or two ways, in a good way or a bad way, and we end up running right back to the cell because we so adamant about being independent, wanting to do things for ourselves and only us, and then that puts us in situations to do what we really don't supposed to do to make sure we got money. Um, I would tell brothers to work your resources. A lot of times, brothers get out of prison, especially if they're on probation and parole. They go to they see their probation and their parole officers. They pee in the cup, and then they go home. Man, work your parole on your probation officers because they the one that's supposed to help you identify the resources that you are going to need to help you get adjusted back into society, whether it's AA or NA meetings, whether it's a transitional houses to help you get on your feet, get your ID, your birth certificate, your social security to help you get transportation, help you with job, career readiness, help you build your resume, to help you get that job, to keep the job. So don't let that not be an option. I'm gonna always say just work your probation officer. If you coming home on any kind of probation or any kind of paperwork, don't just go in there and pee in the cup for them people and leave. Work them, help them, get them to help. They are there to make sure you are good. They are there to make sure you are making the adjustment and being making sure to make sure that you are being acclimated into society in a way that's going to be beneficial for you. So, man, work your PO, man. Identify, get your PO to help identify some of the things that you need, whether it's clothing, shelter, stipends for transportations, food stipends, whether it's helping you find a job, whether it's helping you get in alignment with a skill trade, whether it's helping you, you know what I mean? Just work, make sure you using and tapping into all resources that can help you, man.
Man, you gave me some homework. I ain't, I didn't come on here to get homework, man, but you gave me homework. Guess what I'm doing tomorrow? I've been trying to get back in with the POs and I didn't know from this standpoint. So like I say, I'm learning myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know the value. It's like you have your agent. I always looked at PO, these guys who give me the picture of a PO is like as another police officer or
Right.
someone who's trying to, do you harm. I look at it in that way, but no, I never thought of it in the sense of the PO is your agent that works for you, your counselor.
Yeah.
Duh,
But they somehow
man.
the narrative them changed for
Mhm.
some reason because we know the PO or the probation officer, PO or parole officers, we know psychologically they can violate us. They got a badge, they got a gun, so psychologically it's like, oh man, I ain't want to go back through that, so we gonna piss, say less as possible, and we gonna leave. And in return, that makes the PO job even better. They got a caseload, so that if you not gonna come in there and self advocate for yourself to get what you need, they ain't gonna say nothing either because they trying to get the next person on in here on a
Mhm.
heavy caseload. So and that's what I'm doing now since I have this reentry initiative going on. I just left the probation officer the other day, making sure I'm shaking hands, talking to everybody, reentry coordinator, from parole officers to the PO, because they have a case document of my targeted audience. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I'm like, hey, if your guys are going through this, we are having this event, we are facilitating this workshop. Make sure your guys get this flyer so they can come here and get the help and services that they need. So and now I got some mentees that I kind of take up there to see their probation officer, and I make sure I coach them up. Hey, when you go in here, make sure you tell them you need a transportation stipend. Make sure you need to tell them you need to help preparing for interviews, resume writing, career readiness, any educational opportunities. Make sure tell them you need food stamps. And most of the times when you go in there with a list of things that you need, they're gonna follow suit and make sure they give you the resource, and they ain't gonna be too quick to keep calling you up there to harassing you because they know, hey, nah, this dude gonna harass me. I'm tired. There go Mr. Gregg, like, oh my God, what you need now? Yes, I need this, that to the third. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's good. That's good, man. I need to get at you, man. You right now. I was going to go in and wing it, but you already got to lay out uh, formula of how to approach that conversation.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm gonna definitely ask of you to kind of give me some of those things too, because for me, is how do I add value to them? Because you like what you're doing, you're making their job easier, and you helping to connect them to make this experience better for the person. And so,
Right.
man, I definitely appreciate you sharing what you sharing, because like I said, I'm a student at this, man. And I want to find out how I can help us as men to get the help we need. And what you just said was priceless, man. So I definitely will be tapping with you to get that information. For those who sat out there too, man, allow this to inspire you. Because it may be for others to say, man, I want to start getting into the prisons, to the jails. Just step into it, find out when their next orientation is. That's exactly what I did. I just called up there and say, hey, when y'all have orientation, or how can I get plugged in? It will then open doors to find out how you can do it. You know, it wasn't overnight to get to even to the first base, but you'd be surprised once you get into that space, just how many other opportunities present itself. And so
Right.
every time I go down to the jail or to the prison, it's more and more things I learn, I take away and learn like, oh man, okay. So like I said, I just learned more about the reentry, the transitional housing. So I'm now plugged into one of these transition houses, talked to a few of them, and now I'm starting to see the relationship formulating there, because I said I know the situation could be these guys like, man, you got some bad ones out there, right?
Mhm.
But if you can do your research and my homework to try to find out where are some good ones out there. So when I do talk to some of these brothers who say, man, I don't even want to go back to where I came from, I can say, okay, in my area, this is the transition home that I found that may be a good suit for you. So I can
Right.
be able to take them those resources that can be helpful to them. And the vice versa, even what you saying with the PO. That's my next homework. Let me reach out to them tomorrow. And I'm moving quick. I ain't you hold me to a case.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. You can touch base. Did you call the folks? I'm
Yeah.
calling tomorrow, 10
Got
o'clock.
you.
Yeah, I'm in touch. So I'm trying to reach back out and see some of these things, but I will ask of you to help me make sure I approach the conversation in the right way, meaning that I'm not calling you to allow me to come in to be a speaker more than say, I want to come in and help by, connecting with you guys, or even if I got other guys who I know who on PO, let me help with that process of helping them to utilize this relationship properly.
Yeah,
That
for
is
sure.
so, man. Yeah, that was good.
Make sure you tap in with the reentry coordinator over the city too, man. Whoever in that
Mm.
county, I think you in Rock Hill, right? York County.
Yeah.
Who's up? Make sure you lock in with the reentry coordinator because guys are getting home going to that particular program. That
Wow.
too. Yeah.
Man, that's all new to me. I ain't nothing about that, but I appreciate that, bro. If anybody else out there ain't getting nothing, I got some.
Guys.
this, this is good stuff, man. So sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you have these type of conversations. So I encourage others, tap into some things that's near and dear to your heart. Like I say, it may not be this conversation. It may be mentoring. It could be, I want to help single moms, whatever your heart desire is. You could be like, man, I'm just tired of this in my neighborhood. I see for me, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't like to see somebody on Bojangles box in the middle of the street in my neighborhood. I
Right.
am like, and I used to be that dude. I came out of the project, so what I'm saying, I wasn't nothing just to drop something on the ground as
Yeah.
you move. You come from the store, and ate what you get, you drop on the ground. Now I'm
Right.
like, I can't believe. So I police my own neighborhood. I ain't waiting on nobody else to do it. I police my own because I care for it. And
Right.
so my thing is find what's near and dear to your heart, and let's get involved into that, man. So I love what you just shared to me because guess what? I'm gonna move in that tomorrow.
For
Gonna put
sure.
that in my notes soon I leave to get off this call, bro, and make some traction on this.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so,
You know how that
yeah,
works.
yeah, man. But with that, man, I just wanted you to leave some people with something that's near and dear to your heart, man. Something that you may be saying to yourself right now that you encouraging yourself with, man. I know you got something always cooking cooking over there, bro. So let's hear what you got, man. What you got?
um, just no matter what, keep your head up. We are already kings. And this is for my brothers, the men out there. We are already kings, man. Your crown might be tilted a little bit, but just keep going. And as you go, you'll start to stumble across rare nuggets and rare jewels that you can place on top of your crown to help straighten it back out because everything gonna work out. Just remember your royalty, remember your why, and never let nobody make you think that you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Casey, man, you know you my dude, man. I appreciate your heart of wanting to serve and just always making yourself available to just be there for the people, man. So if anything I can do, you know I'm definitely be in your corner. And
And
man, we about to lock in on some amazing things going into this year, man. I'm excited because God has placed me around men like yourself that want to expand and to do some amazing things for us people. So man, I thank you again, but also I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedule to get on this podcast with us. I hope it bless you. I hope it inspires you. I hope it does something amazing for you. But I want to encourage you to go out there and be the change that you want to see. And let's go out here and win on purpose. Y'all be great, all right?
peace.
No doubt.